government crypto advisor and co-founder of Wave Digital Services. And sir, thank you for joining Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. We've had the Texas Senate discussing Senate Bill 21 and their use of establishing a crypto reserve commission. What are your thoughts on this, as this seems to be changing American currency and really our digital and financial landscape?
I mean, all of it's really exciting. I've been in digital currencies for about a decade now. The company we formed was, 2018, and this administration has changed everything in a matter of months versus the decade that I've been in digital currency. And it's exciting to see it move so fast, because ultimately what happens is we keep innovation in this country, and that's actually a really important factor that the last administration didn't think too much about, given the regulatory approach. But in terms of what Texas is doing, and I think 20 other states are doing right now, it's a bit of a variation. Some of them want to establish a Bitcoin reserve. Some of them want to establish a digital currency reserve, as the executive order states, and there's a significant difference there. And a lot of these hearings are about purchasing, so that's why they're looking for approval. But there are other opportunities that are arising where we take a look at seized currencies in these states and how can they be used in a different way once they're forfeited. So there's a lot of nuance happening around these assets.
Now, how will tariffs affect this? And I'm somewhat green on the process of crypto reserves specifically. I understand that the U.S. Marshals have to be involved in order to establish something like that. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, you're hitting, so I'll touch back on tariffs in a second, because you're actually hitting on a point that is far more important than tariffs. And for me, it really ties into what Doge is doing right now. So I know we're a little all over the place, so let me tie it together. The U.S. Marshal Service in 2019 was tasked with being the agency that decides who will handle these assets, who will liquidate these assets. And really, initially what they were looking for was just a custodian and maybe some sort of technical solution. The problem was, there's a lot more to it. You can't just hold them. If you are going to do things with these complex assets, you actually have to be registered to do that. And there was a report that came out by one of the inspector generals, who's actually still there. He wasn't let go in 2022, talking about all of the inefficiencies at the U.S. Marshal Service and why they can't do this. So I think, with this administration really looking at great detail of how this should be handled, the truth is, the president has brought in some really good and capable people, in Bo Hines and others. But what they're going to ultimately, hopefully do is move it from the U.S. Marshal Service to Treasury, where they actually understand financial assets. I always, kind of make it akin to, you don't really see the U.S. Marshals, grabbing a sign and selling a piece of real estate. So why would they, if they're going to be real, it's just insanity to me. They're going to bring realtors in, for those processes. But these assets are so much more complex that, the fact that they think they can manage them is a little bit crazy.
Very interesting. It's really something that's on the, I think, front of people's minds as they're looking to hedge their bets against inflation. What's your advice for the average investor in regards to Bitcoin and crypto, and just using that as a diversification within their own savings?
Sadly, as a registered investment advisor, I don't know that I can actually give complete investment advice, but here's what I can say. For an investor, do your research. These products can be risky, and take your time trying to understand them, and that's what I did for many years. Really, the way to look at all of them is it's another asset class, and any asset class has a level of risk, and it's about your personal risk threshold. But there's a lot of information out there on these products now, so you can take the time to learn what they do. And what's really interesting about them that I think people don't understand, because they usually lump cryptocurrency into one basket, is many different currencies, do many different things. I mean, we hear a lot about Ripple and XRP, a company I've been an advisor to since 2013. And, that's something that works with financial markets, with some of the things they're trying to accomplish, where, we hear a lot about meme coins and how, what the treatment of those are going to be. And they really have no value at all, other than collectible in some cases. Right. So for an investor, what I would say, is in terms of a hedge, I'll just answer your question. I mean, that was always kind of the point of cryptocurrencies. But what we found, I think, is they're very correlated to financial markets, and that probably was a bit of a surprise to a lot of people.
Do you believe that other states will follow Texas with establishing these kind of reserves or even committees?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, there's about maybe 20 states right now that are bringing legislation forward, and it differs. I know Wyoming brought it forward and it didn't pass, which is really interesting, but I don't think they really pushed for it. And I think, if we take a look at the members, even going back to some of the first congressional hearings, we're in a very different place right now. The members back then, there was a lot of resistance, especially on the left. And we're in a different place right now. These are things that can be used for good, and I think cryptocurrencies have always had this reputation for being evil, being for drug dealers, and it's just not the case. Digital currencies that can generate revenue through financial instruments with traditional finance connected to it, whether that's distribution or coming up with interesting new financial products. There's a big wide world out there.
So fascinating. Thank you, Les Borsai. You are a government crypto advisor, co-founder of the Wave Digital Assets. We look forward to having you on Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, sir, once again, and thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah, I appreciate it.